play through the whole thing.
Who's gonna be first? Who's gonna be
And then
first?
where will it be?
Just like in your photos.
Let's see. Linda, you're first.
Actually, it wasn't as bad as I thought it
Good
was. Since I played it
morning.
back.
Nice.
It's right on time. Hi, Linda.
So next time you have to
I think I might be recording what you say too.
Hi.
Hi. How are you?
Can you see me okay?
I can. I can see you perfectly.
Oh, good. I did it. Yay!
You did it. You look awesome.
You look awesome. Never mind me. You look awesome.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I'm happy to be here doing this with you. I'm so thrilled. I've never done this before on Instagram, so I like to learn new things. So this is good for me.
Yeah, it's been a learning curve for me too. Just last week, I finally learned how my husband, who goes upstairs when I'm doing these, he can actually record it as I'm doing it.
Oh!
Because previously to that, when I was done, I would take his phone and I would watch it on his phone and I would record it holding my phone.
Oh!
Which was pretty tedious. So, yeah, now he's able to record.
Yeah, that was one of the questions I was going to ask you is, can we see this afterwards?
Yes. So what I do is, regardless of how I was doing it, I will upload it to YouTube after.
Oh, okay.
So I will send you the link.
Oh, I would love to see it. Yes, let's do that. Oh, my God. So congratulations on your job and everything. This is great.
Thank you. Yes, I'm very lucky. Very lucky. I can see people are slowly starting to pop on. I'm just going to give us a couple more minutes. We can chit-chat before I start.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I've been working for Galavan now. Oh, goodness. Almost 2.5 years. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Long time. Wow, good for you. That's fantastic. Oh my gosh, that's so good. That's excellent. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. You've made great strides.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, it's been a journey, but
it's been a journey. But you're doing it.
Yeah, we're doing it. Yeah.
So what you gotta do, you gotta keep going, right?
Gotta keep going. Yeah.
It's all a part. It's a circle of life, eh?
That's right. And things are good with you and your family?
Things are very good. I have absolutely no complaints. You know, my youngest son's still here, so it's just my husband and my youngest son. And every morning he says to me, "Mom, how are you doing?" And I just go, and he goes, "Okay, I get it."
Exactly.
I go, "You have breath, you're good to go."
Exactly. Yeah, no, I mean, it's about finding it in the little things, right? So
it is. It's fine. And it could be tough some days, but you get there.
I was thinking before you joined, before I started the live, that you and I think, met back, believe it or not, in like 2007.
I know. It's true. Yeah.
So crazy.
Isn't that crazy?
Yes.
So was I doing an event at that time that you were there, and then next time you hired me for something? Which event was that? What event was that?
It was you came to speak for an event for the Haldeman Norfolk Health Unit where I was working at the time.
Right, that's right.
Yeah, and then I moved on to there, and I went to McMaster University.
Yes.
And that's where you came out to as well.
And then I came to something else like Rexall.
Yes, I had.
Yeah.
I had a few jobs.
Yes, you had me come there too, so I really appreciated that. That was awesome.
And now here we are with Galavan, so it's
great. I know, this is so cool. This is so cool. What a great organization. I did a little homework on you guys. A great organization.
Well, I'm a little biased, but yeah, we're pretty cool.
No.
We have a wide variety of services. So.
Yeah, and I really love the wellness aspect that you provide to students, because I had 2 sons in university, and I know the stresses of that for them this day and age. So, I'm happy that you guys are doing some great work in that area.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, I think we can get started. We have quite a few people on that are watching. So, Rosita, again, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us today. I always like to start by having my guests. I mean, I can introduce you, but I like to have you introduce yourself and just share with our listeners some key things that they'd like, or that you would like them to know about you.
Okay, absolutely. I am a former social worker. I'm a mother. I'm a wife. I'm an auntie. I'm a sibling. I have a great passion for life and living. I have for the past 20 years been on the social or the professional speaking circuit, and I love it. I've been speaking to various groups from nonprofits to corporations. I've been in the education sector, the healthcare sector, right across the board. And I wake up every morning with gratitude because I tell you, I am living my best life, even in the midst of this pandemic. And I also love elevating and lifting other people. So that's been my thing for many years, from the time I was in social work to right now being on the platform where I do a lot around leadership and change and teamwork and self-care, finding balance in your life, whatever that means. And I love it. I truly love what I do, and I feel blessed and fortunate.
Oh, that's awesome. And as we said before we started officially talking, I've known you for a really long time. And so when I was trying to think of, guests that I could have on, of course, we want to educate and support people in their mental health. But it doesn't always have to be like low energy down. Like, we want to try to build people up. So you were the first person I thought of, because throughout my life, whenever I've been down, I call you, and you're really great at building me up. So I was so excited to have you on.
Thank you.
So we talked about back and forth about a few different things that we could talk about. And one of the things, and you have many messages that you share with people, but one of your themes that you share is this finding balance in an unbalanced world. Now, you do this every day anyway in your day-to-day, but now here we are in this pandemic situation that I think we could agree couldn't be more unbalanced.
Mm-hmm.
So even maybe harder to find that balance. So can you speak a little bit about that message that you share about finding balance in an unbalanced world? And what are some of the key messages that you share with people around that?
Well, so first of all, when you see that word balance and unbalance, I kind of have that word balance out there just to sort of get people thinking, and to get people to sort of start a conversation, because I don't really believe that balance actually exists. I think that what happens is a lot of times we stress ourselves trying to find that balance. And we live in a world where it's a continuous dynamic process of uphills and downhills and triumphs and tragedies and struggles and changes and challenges. And so to try and get to that place where we find that balance is quite difficult, because that's not really how life works. And I think the struggle becomes when we're always trying to find that. And after 20 years of teaching this and working with individuals around trying to find that elusive balance, what we've come up with is that people are really trying to find some vitality and achievement. So most of what I teach now is, and I talk to people about, how do you best achieve that? How do you get to that place of vitality? How do you get to that place of achievement? Because when you look at the bigger picture of life, it's almost impossible to find that balance. And even when you get to a place in your life where you go, oh, I think I found that balance, you know what? The pandemic happens, and then, that's not there anymore. Life happens, a death happens, this happens, a child gets sick, whatever it is. I think that what we're really searching for is vitality, which is our health, and achievement, which is some success.
Absolutely. I'm just thinking back to, I always remember the story, and I know you mentioned that you were originally a social worker, and then you kind of made the transition. So I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. And can you share a little bit of the story of how you made that transition from social worker to doing what you do now?
It was there's many versions of that, but the most important one was that I just woke up one morning, because one of the pieces for me being a social worker is that you always had to be in a place where you were doing self-reflecting all the time, like self-reflecting and understanding where you are in your emotions, because that's how you help other people. You got to take care of yourself first. And I always did these daily reflections, and I just had this sense one morning that there was something bigger inside of me, and that there was more that I had to do. And it wasn't so much about me, but it was more that I had to do for the world, that I had to do for other people. And that was the moment that I actually announced to my husband that I was quitting my job. And so I did quit my job. And that's now been 20 years ago. And I've never, ever looked back. I mean, I just woke up one morning and said, I know this is what I'm supposed to do. And I did not leave because I was unhappy with my job. I loved my job. In fact, 20 years later, I still stay in contact with the people that I worked with. And I had a great position. I was the executive director of an organization. But I think it's so important, even when we talk about mental health, that we understand our purpose and that we understand who we are and that we do the things that bring us joy. And those are the things that, that was something that I knew would bring me joy. I could take it to the level of helping people. I was already supporting people in the social service industry, but I thought, how can I make that broader now? Who else can I help? And so starting my own speaking, training, and consulting business 20 years ago has been like, that's it. That was it for me.
And I think the reason I wanted to bring that up, because I think that, the majority of us were working from home. And although we're still staying busy in that way, we do have some time to self-reflect and maybe look at our life. And so I think your story is interesting, because I think what we might find come out of this, maybe one of the positives, is that people are like looking internally and saying, okay, like, am I happy with what I've been doing, and how can I change it, and what can I do? Because, we're always trying to share with our viewers, what can you do to stay balanced? What can you do to find what makes you happy and brings you joy, even in these difficult circumstances? So that's why I was excited for you to share that little story with us.
Yeah.
So, I love that you said, personally, like, I love that you said this idea of balance is kind of an unrealistic thing that we all strive to achieve, and we kind of stress ourselves out over. But I have to ask you, like, because I said you're one of the most positive people I know. So even through all of this, what do you do personally that helps you keep going, that helps you be able to say to your son every morning, I'm breathing, I'm happy, I'm living? Like, how can people learn from you?
Number one for me, I think it's about perspective. We have to keep perspective because we are in quite a difficult situation right now, but we know for a fact that it's not going to last forever. And I'm really big on planning and not panicking. So that's the second thing. So number one, again, as I said, is just make sure that we understand this too shall pass. It's not going to last forever. Number two, we have to plan and not panic. And number three for me is having a plan every day when I wake up. Like, even though, we're in this situation where we can't be out and we're locked inside, we still have to have a plan. So every morning when I wake up, I know what my plan is. And that really helps me too, helps me keep focus and focus on those things. And the last one, I think for sure for me, is paying attention to how much social media information I'm taking in. Even the television, how much I'm watching on TV. I'm auditing that all the time. And what I'm looking for most of the time in my day are good news stories. The stories about the police officers who are going out buying groceries for senior citizens. The stories about doctors coming out of retirement because they want to be of support to others. So I'm always looking for the good news stories. Yeah. And then probably the most important piece of this for me is that I always ask myself, what are you going to look like and feel like when this pandemic is over? What's the impact is this going to have on you? And how are you going to be able to proceed once this pandemic is over? Right. And I think that's really important. So those are the things that keep me going every day. And I really have this strong belief that your health is your wealth. And so I'm always paying attention. I'm being deliberate about what I'm thinking about, what I'm watching, who I'm talking to, how long I'm in a certain situation, because we have to be so aware of our emotional, mental, physical, and spiritual health at all times.
Absolutely. While you're talking, I think it's so interesting because this is about the 5th or 6th live chat that we've done since this started. And almost every single person that we've had on has said the same thing about monitoring and controlling the amount of negativity through the media that we're taking in. Yes. And I think that's so, so interesting that every single person has said the same thing. And it's really hard to do.
Yes.
It's really, because it's everywhere and it's bombarding us. And, something you mentioned, so we live our life day to day and then boom, pandemic, and that's our new normal. Yes. And so we're trying to find this balance with that. And so it's been a few weeks now.
Yes.
Some of us, not all of us, we're kind of finding our way with it. And then, I think, I would be not really great at my job if I didn't mention the tragedy that happened in Nova Scotia over the weekend. And for us at Galavan, we not only support a lot of schools and students over in Nova Scotia, but we have employees in Nova Scotia as well who are dealing with this tragedy. And so all of a sudden, we're jolted again. And so how do we keep our head above water when it seems like, okay, well, we thought this pandemic was our new normal, and then all of a sudden we're dealing with the biggest mass shooting in Canadian history? What are some techniques that you have for people, or some thoughts that you have around that?
I think it's the big piece again around perspective and keeping being deliberate about your thought process. We can't ignore that these things are happening. I mean, we can't just shove them under the carpet and pretend that it's not impacting us in any way. I think we have to accept the fact that, that was very sad what happened in Nova Scotia. And yes, this is very uncomfortable at times, this whole piece around the pandemic. But again, it goes back to what I said initially. Then we have to start saying, okay, so now what can I do? What's my role in this? Because everybody has a role in this in terms of getting through this process of the good news and not so good news. And so what is it that I need to be doing? So the first thing that we need to be doing is, as I said initially, is being deliberate about how we're responding to things. We're going to grieve a little bit about some of the things that are happening, but then we have to know when to turn the page, because it's going to start to impact our health. And not only is it going to impact our health, it's going to impact the health of all those people who are around us. And I think at the end of this, when we come out of this pandemic, as I said initially, we've got to ask ourselves, what kind of shape am I going to be in? Because if you think you have work to do now while this pandemic is going on, imagine what's going to be needed by the time we get out of this pandemic. So I think we have to keep a positive perspective. We have to ensure that we stay positive so that we're not spreading too much negative energy around the people around us who can also be support systems for us. And I think we have to face the fact that our health is our most important factor right now. Like, this is one thing that I've realized after this thing that you're talking about in Nova Scotia and what's happening with the pandemic, is how important that the most precious commodity that we have is our health. And if anything, we have to focus on how do we get through this. And so we have to stay focused on our health and on positive aspects of whatever we can find in all of this tragedy, especially with Nova Scotia, but focus on the positive things, because it will start to impact your health. We're losing lives through what's happening in Nova Scotia. We're losing lives through the pandemic. We're also going to lose our own lives just being home if we don't start thinking more positively and looking for some more good news stories and thinking about ways of honoring the health that we have right now.
Absolutely. And I love what you just said about, thinking about what can we do? Like, what can we do about it? How can we help? How can we turn kind of that negativity into more of a positive? And if you don't mind, it's just a really good segue for me, just to be able to say that this was a conversation that we did have at Galavan, like when it comes to the shooting specifically, and what happened, what can we do? And so we have actually partnered with Inkblot Therapy, who are one of our partners through our My Wellness program that offer online video counseling. And with them, we've created eastcoaststrong.ca. And so for anyone who's listening, there's going to be more information coming out about this very shortly. But when anyone goes to eastcoaststrong.ca, it is specific for people who are maybe struggling with what has happened in Nova Scotia. They can access online video counseling, and get the support that they need, whether it's just to talk to somebody. The first session is free, and then sessions after that are at a much reduced cost. So again, we were just like, we have to do something, right? And so just to be clear, eastcoaststrong.ca is for anyone in Nova Scotia who may need it. Whether you're a My Wellness school or not, it's going to be open to everybody. So if you're listening, please stay tuned on our social media for more information about that.
Yeah, and I'm very happy that you mentioned that and that those resources are available to people. And even when I'm thinking about the students, even the students who are home right now, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm hoping that even for the students who are home across Canada, across the world, that their academic facilities, their colleges or universities, at least have some type of virtual assistance available to them if they need it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, a lot of the people that we support, they do have My Wellness, which is that it's virtual resources, and not all do. And that's why we've also been doing these live chats, because this is not a time to discriminate between people who have a program and people who don't.
Exactly.
We're all in this together. Everyone needs support. And so by talking to people like you, we're hoping, like, even if we reach just one person who needed to hear your message today, I think they'll agree it's worth it. So.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think it's important, to be able to know what resources are available out there.
Yes.
For sure. And then also, I think it's really important that we surround ourselves with the right people at this time. One of the things that I posted yesterday was how important it is for us to have our cheerleaders and I talked about carrying the baton, because what happens sometimes is maybe there's a day where I'm not doing so well, but do I have somebody that I can reach out to, and I pass that baton to them and I go, can you carry this load today, because I can't do that? Like, can you help me with this particular thing today, because I can't do that? And then should be in a position at one point where I can reciprocate that, and then I become the baton carrier one day. So I think it's really important that we have a circle of friends around us that we can hand off to when things are not going well, because there will be days where you're not feeling 100%, and maybe many days, but have people around you that are going to lift you up and build you up and encourage you and say, come on, we're running this race together and we can do this, because this is going to pass. We know this is going to pass. It's a struggle right now that we're in right now, but it is going to pass, and we have to be ready for when it passes.
Absolutely. Great advice. Rosita, for our listeners who may want to follow you on social media or contact you in the future to have you come out and speak at their school, where's the best place for them to find you?
They can find me on I'm always on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I have my own website, rositahall.com. You can find me there, and you can reach me even at my phone, 905-966-3280. And I'm always available and always ready and enjoy what I do. And really, I know from personal experiences that we always have to hold on, and that we can't give up. Even in days when it seems extremely dark, just keep moving and hold on to hope, because we will all get through this. Absolutely.
Thank you again so much for joining me today. It's great to see your face again. I know we do a lot of typing back and forth.
Thank you.
For my listeners, thank you for tuning in. It's Wednesday, I guess. We're getting there to the end of the week again. We'll be back next week with more live chat, so stay tuned. And Rosita, I hope you have a great day.
Thank you so much.
Take care. Okay, bye everyone.